secular numinous to take their time as young men, very young men, and you know, take an hour, 2, 3, 4 hours out of their day to do a video response to a lecture on Nietzsche from a book that nobody reads, to be able to read it themselves, to be able to shoot it, to be able to upload it and edit it. I've won. I got 3 people. Life is good. Life is good. You know, life is good. For me and Synthetic Fragments to go back and forth, and for him to sort of inspire something in me, which is very hard for people to do, is life is good, right? So I'm not looking for a cult following. I want 300. If I can get 300 like in the movie, it's a wrap. I need 300. I got 4. I got a lot of work to do. But that's the idea, right? It's the threat is pacified, is transformed because you become a servant, right? Who I serve in this process, I serve the people that I just mentioned, right? These videos are for, and others, right? But these videos are specifically for, when I drive to work and when I prepare for this, I'm thinking about secular numinous. I am thinking about secular numinous. I'm thinking about complacency among us. I'm thinking about Ian Mathewes. I'm thinking about Synthetic Fragment. I'm thinking about those people, right? I'm thinking about those people. Of course, I love YouTube because I'm thinking about those people not as real individuals, as their real names. I'm thinking about their persona, like secular numinous as a persona, and he's a great persona. He's a fabulous persona, as a persona on YouTube, right? I'm thinking about him. This lecture, every time I prepare stuff, I'm doing it for him and the others that are serious about learning from me, right? And I learn from them. For everybody else, I don't care if you watch my videos or not, right? If it's helping you. Now granted, I know a lot of you watch and you don't, you haven't sort of identified. I don't know you as well as I might know them. But I'm doing it for you as well, right? I'm doing it for people who want to get this knowledge. For those people who don't want to get the knowledge, obviously I'm not doing it for them. And I'm not going to sprinkle it up and make it happy and go lucky and poppy and cutesy pie and all that. No, it's going to be boring. It's going to be super difficult. I'm going to do ghetto philosophy. I'm going to do me, and you're going to get smarter. So that's what it's about, right? Fear ceases in the middle class. Here one is never alone, right? Here one is never alone. Not middle class. Fear ceases in the middle. He didn't say class. Here one is never alone. Here there is little room for misunderstanding. Here there is equality, right? The great word equality, which is, it's actually not equal, but I'm not going to get into that. Here one's own form of being is not felt as a reproach, but as a right from the probably beginning. Here comments, contentment rules. I love that, right? Here contentment, just to be content, rules. Why should you be content? Because you're always going to have, the end is posited as improvement, so why work hard if I'm still going to have to improve? I'm never really going to get anything out of the system, right? I'm going to be a cog in the machine. I'm not open to critical analysis and debate, so why strive for anything other than sort of mediocrity is the argument. Mistrust is felt toward the exception. To be an exception is experienced as guilt. The one thing Nietzsche didn't do in this note in 280, can't really knock him, he's a genius, but the one thing he did not do in this note is to talk about how we know the conflict that the herd finds from the order of rank below them. But he doesn't talk about how they pacify, how the herd pacifies them. So I'm just going to freestyle it for a little bit. I've gone through this text before, but I haven't prepared the sort of ridiculously detailed manic notes that I am now. So I can't find sections that I know are in there. I'll just have to wait till I get to that point again, because I don't have previous notes not at this level of sort of detail to refer to. But here's the idea. If the herd recognizes that those in an order of rank above them stand to threaten them the most, then they need to transform them into servants, right? And then you just have to think about the opposite, right? If they recognize that people, a group, a class, I don't necessarily like the word class, but a class of people in an order of rank below them are coveting what it is that they have, right? You, quote-unquote, lower class, are lazy, you're not working, you're not doing that. What is it that they posit on that group, right? They posit, they evoke, if you will, well, the greatest possible mood, right? And this is Cordell Welsh really, he hits this nail on the head pretty good. They evoke the Protestant work ethic, right? Nietzsche, obviously, in his insistent antithetical relationship to Christianity, it's the Protestant work ethic. And Nietzsche, not Nietzsche, Cornel West talks specifically. I did a thing on race theory, theories. I think it's in my theories series on Cornel West, and he cites Nietzsche, right? He cites Nietzsche in this, and specifically talks about nihilism, right? What ends up happening is you're in that station in life because you're lazy, because you don't have this Protestant work ethic, because you're not willing to put in the time, because you're not smart enough, and you're lazy and you're dumb and so on and so forth, right? Which they know is a lie. It's not that the herd think that that's true. The herd knows that it's a lie, right? Even prior to, obviously this is well prior to people like Johann Galtung, we're talking about Nietzsche's time. But people were aware that they might not have been able to articulate it in the terms of structural violence as eloquently as Galtung did, but they recognized that there were institutional situations that prevented individuals from actualizing the happiness in the life that they wanted, right? If you were born into a serf class, you were a serf. That's what you did, right? If your parents were indentured servants, what was the likelihood that they paid off their debt in their lifetime? They probably didn't, which transferred the debt to the next generation, and that's just what it was, right? So the fact that you were an indentured servant, you couldn't own anything, you weren't able to become literate, isn't a doing of your own sort of slackness, your laziness. No, it was an institutional contingency, right? I should say that, it wasn't a contingency, it was an institutional necessity. The institution necessitates a class of people who just won't have, right? And unfortunately, it's a roll of the dice, man. A lot of it depends on who you're born to, who your parents are. Seriously. You know, if you're born in the middle of the projects and with high recidivism and high incarceration rates within the family, the likelihood that you're going to end up in that situation is pretty high, right? If conceptually speaking, it couldn't be that same child, but conceptually speaking, a child were to be born at the same time, same instance, in a very affluent community, then it's likely that will happen, right? It's a luck of the draw to some extent, right? Granted, you can work your way out. I was able to work my way out, right? But those are the exceptions. Those are the exceptions more than the norm. And the reason is, the overwhelmingly that's used is that you guys are just lazy, you don't want to work. So then there isn't a threat, right? It's like, oh, I can justify demeaning this population because they're lazy, and I can justify making commands to the order and rank above me because they are in the business of satisfying, basically, infinitely, my insatiable needs for everything, right? My insatiable need. So the important thing that I want to identify, I think that's clear. The important thing that I want to identify in this concept then, I think I list 4, did I list more? Yeah, 4A first. This is the bottom of page 49. The herd exalts the mean, the average, you know that. So exalts the mean. B, the herd is opposed to rank hierarchy, right? There's an inherent oppositional relationship between rank and hierarchy, right? So exceptions to the norm, the average, mediocre, are opposed, both above and below. Right, exceptions to the norm are opposed, both above and below. And finally, D, those of strength and intellect are relegated to servants, right? Are relegated to servants. I would probably just add one more thing, E, those below are characterized as lazy. I was